Good evening. The November 24th City Council meeting will come to order precisely as predicted by Councilmember Rogers, 5 minutes after the appointed time. All of us stand corrected and chastened. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Oh, he'll be back in a sec. Councilmember Davis. Here. Councilmember Rogers.
Here.
Councilmember Hadakaris will not be here today. Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris is online, but we'll do online participation in a second. Councilmember Isles.
Here.
Councilmember Newsma.
Here.
And Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Mayor Biss.
Here, we have a quorum present and are prepared to do our work for the evening. The first item on the agenda is approval of virtual councilmember participation. It is my understanding that Councilmember Harris has communicated in writing her need to participate virtually for a legally permissible reason. Is there a motion to approve this virtual participation?
So move.
That's a fair question.
What's the question?
The question is, what's the reason? I'd forgotten, to be totally honest.
So I was
She's
at a
traveling
city.
for work.
I'm sorry, go
Traveling for
ahead.
work-related reasons. Yep.
Yeah,
So
for
Councilmember
city-
Harris is communicating in writing that she's traveling for work-related reasons, which is one of the permitted reasons under state law. Yes. Sorry. So Councilmember Newsom, I think, moved. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Newsom moves to approve Councilmember Harris's virtual participation. Councilmember Isles seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 6 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Councilmember Harris will be on the roll for the rest of the evening. The next item on the agenda is my public announcements and proclamations, of which there are none, besides, I guess, Happy Thanksgiving. And the next item on the agenda is the city manager's public announcements. Would the clerk please add Councilmember Suffredin to the roll?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members and Clerk Mendoza. I just wanted to provide a very brief update on our ongoing discussions with the Evanston Public Library. Corporation Counsel Ruggie has been working with the attorney hired by the library to work together on several items, including a lease and a new intergovernmental agreement between the city and the library. There's been some progress in recent discussions. EPL has shared that the HR manager position is on hold pending further negotiations with the city. Also, we're working to schedule a meeting with EPL's council, the city corporation council, and ASME leadership. Both the library and city share common goals to ensure best-in-class delivery of library services while being responsive to taxpayer costs, leveraging economies of scale, and collaborating wherever efficiencies can be gained. We look forward to making additional progress in talks with the library as we work towards resolution, greater clarity for all parties. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. And sorry. City Manager Stowe, given that we're in the middle of negotiating a lease and an intergovernmental agreement, I'm hoping that we will have that opportunity for a joint meeting. Do you know if that's being rescheduled or if there's a...
I do not know the exact status of that at this time.
Okay, because I think that's of interest to residents to have that venue to address both bodies. I think it's of interest to both bodies. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rogers.
I'm following up a little bit on that. Do we have a timeline for like when we're expecting a new IGA and lease, or is it kind of open-ended at this point as we work through the issues?
I don't know if Corporation Counsel wants to speak to that.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor, members of City Council, City Clerk Mendoza, City Manager Stowe, Alex Ruggie, Corporation Counsel. Thank you, Councilmember Rogers. I appreciate the question. So working with Mr. Knoll from Robin Schwartz, who is the attorney that was hired by the library, we've been working through just getting him up to speed on a lot of things. And so the city did send over our proposed terms of the lease, and we're waiting to hear back. he and I kind of decided to start with the lease and then move on to the IGA. So we're starting with that to see if we can come to terms. I think it'll make the IGA simpler. I don't have an exact timeline, but I know he's been working really diligently.
And do we have a date like by which we have to accomplish this, or is it very open-ended?
No, it's very open-ended.
Okay, just want to check. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly.
So if we don't have a joint meeting, I think we should have some dedicated time for public comment and, regarding the lease and the intergovernmental agency agreement, I think the public does have an interest. I think we should also have a robust discussion about the forms of library relationships in a city, whether they're component, departmental, or district. I think that's something that should be discussed, and I think the public should have an opportunity to hear about those different structures and what best, how our community can benefit best from which one of those structures. I think we've run into a few glitches here with this particular structure, so I think we should, if it's not going to be a joint meeting, then I would ask that we consider a meeting and have that out as an item of discussion. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is communications from the city clerk.
I have no communications today.
The next item on the agenda is public comment. We have a relatively light public comment this evening, so every speaker will be given the full 3 minutes. We begin as always with those who signed up in person to speak in person, beginning with Tina Payton, who will be followed by Priscilla Giles, and then Carla Sutton.
Good evening. I'm Tina Payton. I would like to talk about the vacation rentals. I've attended the Housing and Community Development Committee, and I realize this is just for introduction, but the language still remains the same, unfortunately. I rent out furnished units to students, a lot of international students. And what this is proposing is that we're going to change the language from vacation rental to short-term rental, which I believe is a mistake. Vacation rental is less than 30 days. Short-term rental is 30 days up to a year, and then longer-term rental is a year plus. That language should not be changed, and I should not be considered a vacation rental because I want to rent my units for over 30 days, but less than a year, a furnished unit. This is very important, and I've got support from the 9th Ward Alderman and other committee people at the Housing and Community Development Committee, and I think that you should reconsider what is being proposed. Also, I would like to talk about family focus again. I find it very interesting that here I am, 26 years managing our family for well over 50 years, providing affordable housing, and we continue to support people with money. Family Focus is a private entity, but somehow you're going to give them money and give them support. And I've been asking for money and support for 26 years. And I provide affordable housing. And somehow all this shell game business with Family Focus and this $1 million and let's help them sell it and do this seems a little shady to me. I was the last class in Family Focus when it was King Lab, and I had to do my 2 years elsewhere. This building should be made into a support system for continuing education for people that don't want to go to college. And I think that would be a good use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Priscilla Giles, who will be followed by Carla Sutton and then Olin Wilson-Thomas.
Priscilla Giles. I guess I will continue with Tina. I think the building should be used, continue to be used as a place where people can learn and get an education that gives them an affordable living here in Evanston. Not that it is not like the vacant land at Emerson and Jackson and Wesley, where the people have been moved out, making the school less affordable because they say there are not enough kids here. And I think that this school, this city has enough refunds, and they should have enough compassion on foster school. You're calling Family Focus. I went there, my parents went there, my daughter went there, and it has a lot of meaning for the Black community. I don't think it means anything to anybody here. Too much, maybe, I don't know. But I think that that is something that should be considered in being sold, since it is for sale. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Carla Sutton, who will be followed by Olson Wilson-Thomas and then William Althouse.
Good evening. I'm concerned about several things on items on the agenda. The first one I'm asking you not to approve is HCDC4 for vacation rentals. There's not been enough input from small landlords regarding the restrictions that will be placed upon us to further eliminate us to use our properties to make up for the high taxes and the other things the city is proposing on us. Secondly, for Family Focus, it may not be that much of an architectural preservation, but it's definitely a cultural one. The Black people in this community have gone from 30% when I came here in 91 down to 17%. There's no reason that building should be considered for housing or anything else, but for purposes of bringing services to our community. Also, paying for the move. I don't understand the city's conflict of interest in this. If you don't own the building, why are you still putting money and you refuse to give them the money that was given? I'm a little confused about what is the city's motives with Family Focus. And last but not least, smoke and soul and smoke. Please do not approve that sidewalk. It's a terrible thing, and it's a great hindrance to people in the community, and I don't want to see that approved this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Olin Wilson-Thomas, who will be followed by William Althouse.
Good evening, Olin Wilson-Thomas, 9th Ward resident. So, first, I want to thank the City Council for their continued commitment to safer streets in this year's budget. The $450,000 for traffic calming will pay for critical safety improvements to Evanston's roadways, and the city's recurring investment in this each year ensures that Evanston continues to make meaningful progress toward its transportation goals. Secondly, the $100,000 for public engagement on the Main Street project will help make Main Street a safe place for cyclists as opposed to the barrier it currently poses. But my main focus tonight is on the city's potential purchase of a street sweeper for the bike lanes and multi-use paths. Debris and trash are pervasive in our bike lanes. The problem becomes especially bad once the winter hits. I bike to school on Dodge every day. I almost wipe out on the leaves because homeowners will blow their leaves and it's a mess. And so during the winter, the snow plows will also push all the snow into the bike lane. This is a common complaint from anyone who bikes during the fall and winter in Evanston. And yet still we encourage people to bike all year-round to decrease traffic congestion and air pollution and whatnot. But that seems like an unfair ask when we're not properly maintaining the infrastructure that we set out for people. So that's where the street sweeper comes in. It's designed to specifically sweep and plow the bike lanes and reach areas where traditional street sweepers cannot. This plow will allow the city to provide safe biking infrastructure year-round, and I hope you will vote to purchase it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is William Althouse.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is William Althouse, and I'm a second ward resident and a proud parent of 2 children who are thriving in the two-way immersion program at Washington Elementary. My family's connection to the Evanston Public Schools spans generations. My in-laws met in kindergarten at Oakton Elementary in 1952, and they graduated from ETHS in '65. For over 8 decades, our family has been deeply rooted in this community, with Evanston's public institutions shaping our lives in so many ways. At the October 30th City School Liaison Committee meeting, we were very encouraged to see a shared commitment to building a stronger, more proactive partnership between the city, District 65, and District 202. This meeting identified many exciting opportunities for collaborations, opportunities that could generate significant value for all of the parties involved, particularly our children and our neighborhoods. There was a palpable energy in the room, and it felt as if we were on the verge of something truly impactful. Now, moving forward, it's imperative that the momentum we felt that day be sustained. With the many challenges facing District 65 and the board meeting to determine just a week away, we cannot afford to slow down. This is the moment to lean in. The city has an incredible opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of our students and families, and we, engaged citizens, urge the council to embrace these opportunities with energy and focus. The idea that the city should stay in its lane when it comes to schools is outdated. It's not only unhelpful, and it is missed opportunities. Evanston's lane is one of collaboration, growth, and shared purpose. The council's lane is our children, our schools, and the health of our neighborhoods. We need more than just mild attention and placating speech. We need action and leadership and a clear commitment to making Evanston a place where all families can thrive. Evanston is incredibly rich with civic, cultural, and intellectual resources that aren't being tapped into nearly enough. The city needs to explore bold, practical collaborations, for example, co-locating municipal services in underutilized D65 buildings. This could not only improve efficiency, but also reinforce schools as vital neighborhood anchors. Imagine the impact of a meeting like this in one of our schools. What a powerful message it would send about the collective commitment to the future of our children. And additionally, let's bring Oakton College and Northwestern into this conversation as partners. As one of the city's most influential institutions, NU has the expertise, resources, and proven academic mission to be a powerful ally in addressing the challenges facing our schools. We are at a crossroads, and it would be a missed opportunity not to leverage these universities' potential and to strengthen D65 in particular. And the opening of the new Foster School is a perfect example for a chance to come together. The Fifth Ward community deserves a school opening that is a true celebration and a moment of pride for the entire city. It can only happen if we all work together, bringing the right leadership to the table, and let's ensure its success. We ask you again to lean into the opportunities for collaboration identified at the City School Liaison Committee meeting. Let's turn that optimism for every child, every school, every neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This concludes the in-person portion of public comment. We now move to the online public comment, which will begin with Liz Wollens, who will be followed by Niles Coalition.
Hi, I'm Liz Wollens, and I'm an Evanston resident and a founding member of Invest in Neighborhood Schools. I'm here tonight to share that I was genuinely encouraged by the collaboration demonstrated between the city, District 202, and District 65 at the October 30th meeting. I'm hopeful that this spirit of partnership continues, because when our civic institutions work together, we move closer to building a stronger, more equitable, and more vibrant Evanston. Our community deserves a public school system that is not just functional, but exemplary, one that reflects our shared values, supports every student, and strengthens every neighborhood. I urge all parties to keep working collaboratively, transparently, and with urgency so that we can create the brighter future that Evanston's children and families deserve.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Niles Coalition. It appears that Niles Coalition is not in the Zoom at this time. In that case, that concludes public comment for the evening. And now, because there are many, many special orders of business, I want to make sure that we first handle the unanimous portion of the consent agenda immediately. So let's move now to the consent agenda. We'll pull things off, take a vote on what's left, then go to special orders of business, and then after that, the things that were pulled off the consent agenda. So understanding that folks may need a minute to orient themselves, please let me know what, if anything, folks would like to see removed from the consent agenda.
Please remove A2, A20, and A13.
So far, we have A2, A13, and A20.
Mr. Mayor, I would request HCDC3 and HCDC4.
HCDC 3 and 4.
I don't know if we need to pull off A13. We modified it, so. Oh, it's off.
So A13, yeah, Councilmember Rogers pulled that already. Councilmember Suffredin pulled that already, sorry.
A20?
Yeah, so so just the ones that have been pulled so far, A2, A13, A20, HCDC 3, and HCDC 4. Are folks ready? I don't want to rush anybody. I'm getting the don't call on me teacher body language. I think I'd entertain a motion in that case.
Mr. Mayor, I will move the consent agenda minus items A2, A13, A20, HCDC3, and HCDC4.
Guys.
Second from...
I'll second.
Councilmember Newsome moves the consent agenda with the 5 exemptions previously enumerated. Councilmember Isles seconds. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin.
Aye.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsome.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and the consent agenda with the following 5 exemptions: A2, A13, A20, HCDC3, and HCDC4 is adopted. We now return to special orders of business. Is there a motion relative to item SP1?
Mr. Mayor, I would move item SP1, Ordinance 56025, approving the fiscal year 2026 budget for the city of Evanston.
Second.
Councilmember Rogers moves adoption of Ordinance 56-0-25. Councilmember Harris seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Aye. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsome.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Ordinance 56-0-25 is passed. Now on item SP2, which I think requires an amendment. Is there a motion? Councilmember Kelly.
Sure. I'd like to move item SP2, and I'd like to move to adopt the ordinance in alignment with the line that says corrected numbers as shown on pages 11 to 13 in the memo. Should I read all the numbers?
You don't have to, but someone has to second the amendment. Second the motion.
I'll second.
Councilmember Kelly moves adoption of the following version of Ordinance 57-0-25. It's the version that's been corrected on pages 11 through 13th of the memo, so that the fire pension number is $9,838,575, and the police pension is $10,651,282, with a total amount of $38,478,400, excluding debt service, general assistance, and library. Councilmember Newsome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just want to make sure for everybody here that we understand what this motion is. In my understanding is that this motion kind of cleans up the motion that you made last time, which this council passed, albeit not unanimously, which removed the increase attributed to, in the levy attributed to the police and fire pension funds. And that increase was 3 million net, 3,075,000 gross.
Correct.
And so that this motion cleans up the intent of what was passed last time.
That's correct. I mean, there is an allowable loss factor that needs to be calculated in between the net and the gross.
Right. I don't think this is the right path to go down, but if we are going to go down it, we should not be stumbling. So I will vote in favor of this motion, even though I don't think this is the path that we should be going down.
Would the clerk please take the roll?
Hold on a sec.
Oh, sorry, Councilmember Isles.
Is staff going to show us what the consequences are for if we shift this to reserves? What do reserves look like going forward?
We can take a vote on this correction if you'd rather ask that question. I don't know if you want to have that answer now or later. But
okay, if you're going to give it to us later, that's fine.
The response that I see the confusion. The response to your question is not necessarily related to this amendment, the correction to the levy.
Well, and so let's, a point of order. Are we voting?
Yeah, so
voting on an amendment?
Right. So what I interpreted Councilmember Kelly's motion to be was not amending the ordinance, but adopting this version of the ordinance, which means that as I understood the motion, this would be the final vote on SP2. That's what you intended, Councilmember? Okay.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
My apologies. I thought that was an amendment, and then there was a subsequent adoption vote.
Yeah, thanks for clearing that up. It was a understandable. Either one could have worked. So thank you.
No problem. So we have updated our slides to reflect the revised property tax levy as corrected to show sort of the forecast looking forward. It does represent a significant draw on our reserves. The proposed budget included a draw on reserves of $9 million. With this change, we are looking at a draw on reserve of $12 million. Were it not for the $17.2 million that we received in permit revenue over the last 2 years, that was one-time permit revenue, we'd be $7 million short today of balancing next year's budget were it not for those one-time permit revenues. We're fortunate that those have come through. But we've seen $27 million in increases for salaries and benefits. We've seen $9 million in increases for public safety pension contributions. And now this, as corrected, includes just a $1 million increase to the general fund portion of the property tax levy over the last 5 years. So the graph here shows that. We've gotten a lot of questions about, does it make sense to do small increases over time or larger increases all at once? Our proposed budget included that large increase all at once to catch up after 5 years of really holding it flat. We took a look at a couple comparable communities that we hear about a lot as really favorable communities that people say do things really well. Those two communities over the last 2 years or last 5 years have averaged an increase of about 2% to their levy. For a total increase since 2020 of 11.4%, and that's just the city portion of their levies. So whenever you add in the park districts within these communities have had to keep up with inflation and they've looked at their property tax to do it. When they get one-time permit revenues, they use that for things like capital or for additional contributions to pensions above and beyond the required contribution. Unfortunately, we've had to do, use that money in order to balance our budget from year to year. So that's sort of the picture that we're looking at with this levy as amended. I don't know, did you have anything you wanted to add to it too?
Again, good evening, Mayor, the members of the City Council. One more thing, I don't know whether Council, as of now or in the future, ready to kind of tie the property tax rate increase to the inflation rates. I mean, some of the communities use it. That is kind of a good yardstick. We heard a couple of times about the inflation tied, and I mean, that's the one thing, City Council can consider, now or in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Before we voted on it, I just wanted to make sure that we understood what we were doing. I am very much in favor of small incremental changes, increases over time, as opposed to being forced in the future to make a large increase. We can't keep things flat indefinitely. Inflation goes up, salaries go up. I'm concerned that if we reduce our reserves, we have less flexibility. I have no idea what's going to happen at the federal level. And so I am uncomfortable reducing our reserves. It feels like we're just kicking our problem further down the road. That being said, nobody wants to not fund pensions. We all want to. I think everybody on the dais is in favor of catching up on our pension obligations by 2040. But I think dipping into our reserves is the wrong way to do that.
Councilmember Rogers.
I would just like to clarify, we're not truly dipping into our reserves, we're dipping into excess reserves. So we're still maintaining the amount of reserves that council has agreed that we should have. And yes, it would be nice to do incremental, and I like the idea of tying something into, doing sort of a cost of living inflation, whatever we want to do, and I'd be happy to discuss that at Finance and Budget. I'll talk with staff about bringing that forward in the new year. But we currently are sitting on a pile of excess reserves, and there's a resolution that the previous council passed saying that that would be a source for funding revenue would be a source of revenue to fund pensions if there were excess reserves, and that's why I will support this.
Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. And I just want to comment also, dovetail on that excess reserves. This is the general fund. We do keep, we have a reserve policy for, I think, 14 funds, and I know other cities like Skokie just has it for their debt service fund and for their general fund. So there are other unrestricted excess funds besides what shows up here. So that's all.
Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
And this is
This is to adopt the cleaned up. This is a final vote on SB2 with a cleaned up version.
Thank you.
Councilmember Rogers.
Well, hold on. There's a roll call. Is this a point of order?
This is a point of order because I have an amendment I would like to make. So let me back up mentally a second. Councilmember Kelly has made a motion to pass SB2.
Yes.
Or pass the ordinance. If we did that, would I then be able to make a motion to change it?
No, unless a motion to reconsider passed. So you could ask Councilmember Kelly to withdraw her motion to allow you to make your amendment.
Maybe what we could do is allow Councilmember Kelly to make her original motion as an amendment.
Well, she made her motion. It was what it was. The vote is happening. So, I mean, you're welcome to ask her as a colleague just to withdraw the motion so you can make the amendment. I think people often do that up here, but we're in the middle of a roll call on a thing that was described, and so that I'm not going to change.
If the roll calls.
Councilmember Kelly.
Councilmember
Rogers.
Councilmember Rogers will be next.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Was that an aye?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Isles.
No.
Councilmember Newsma.
No.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 6 voting in favor and 2 voting against, the motion carries, and ordinance 57-0-25 as corrected is adopted. Councilmember Newsma, your light is on. Is that from before?
Yeah, I would just like to make the point and go on record, and I think it's, too little too late at this point, but as I had said earlier, I don't think this is the right path to go down, picking up on what Councilmember Isles said. This creates a $3 million hole in our general fund that we're going to have to fill somewhere. And we have excess reserves. We can, and in fact, are drawing down on those excess reserves to fully fund our pensions. And, I think we all agree we want to fully fund our pensions. I'm concerned that if we, by taking this $3 million out of the budget that was directed towards our pension funds, that we're setting ourselves up for a really difficult conversation in another year or two, which has the unintended consequence of politicizing our pension funding. We don't want to politicize it, but if we kick the can down the road, we might find ourselves in another year or two having a conversation, well, hey, we don't have enough money in the reserves to draw down anymore, so we're going to have to increase the property tax levy specifically for public safety pensions, and that will hurt a heck of a lot more if we don't take a small step in that direction now. So I really do think we should be nudging the levy up a bit this year, so we don't have to significantly and drastically increase the levy next year. Because I'm concerned we'll set up a situation where when times are tight, that we might backslide on our commitment to fully fund pensions and either have a discussion about reducing the funding level, which I don't want to do, or maybe changing the assumed rate of return, which we are very appropriately, in my opinion, conservatively using a 6.5% return. A very strong argument, which I would disagree with, could be made to increase that assumed rate of return to 7.5%, 8%, which would have the effect of reducing our annual contribution and therefore reducing the levy that would be required to make that contribution. I don't want to have those conversations. I want to make sure we are locked in on fully funding our pension obligations for until we get to that point where they are fully funded, which is going to happen in 2040, if not earlier. So I think it is not appropriate to reduce the proposed levy by the amount that was just passed. If we don't want to assign it to the public safety pensions, I would, I don't know if a motion on this is in order at this point, but if we put it in the general fund, we can, that's another way of doing it. But, I want to make sure we are committed to fully funding those pensions and make it easier ourselves in the future to continue doing so.
The next item on the agenda is SP3. One option might be to make motions on multiple items in the SP3 through SP12 range. Is there a motion on one or more of those items?
Mr. Mayor, I would move item SP3, Ordinance 58025, General Assistance 2025 Tax Levy. SP4, Ordinance 59025, Evanston Library Fund 2025 Tax Levy. SP5, Ordinance 60025, Special Service Area 6 2025 Tax Levy. SP6, Ordinance 61025, Special Service Area Number 7 2025 Tax Levy. SP7, Ordinance 62025, Special Service Area Number 8 2025 Tax Levy. SP8, Ordinance 63025, Special Service Area Number 9, 2025 Tax Levy. SP9, Ordinance 64025, Special Service Area Number 10, 2025 Tax Levy. I'm going to skip SP10 because I don't know if anybody wants to speak to that one, so I will skip that one. SP11, Ordinance 72025, amending Title 9, Chapter 2, Section 3B, fees charged to amend ambulance fees. SP12, Resolution 71R25 through 86R25, debt service property tax abatements, and that appears to be all at this point.
Second.
Councilmember Rogers moves adoption of the following items. Ordinance 58-0-25, Ordinance 59-0-25, Ordinance 60-0-25, Ordinance 61-0-25, Ordinance 62-0-25, Ordinance 63-0-25, Ordinance 64-0-25, Ordinance 72-0-25, and Ordinances Resolutions 71 through 86, all -R-25. Councilmember Kelly seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and the ordinances and resolutions previously enumerated are all adopted. And now on item SP10, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, on item SP10, I move Ordinance 71-025, amending Title 8, Chapter 4 to update waste services and fees for action.
Seconded.
Councilmember Rogers moves adoption of Ordinance 71-0-25. Councilmember Davis seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
With 7 voting in favor and 1 voting against, the motion carries, and Ordinance 71-0-25 is adopted. Now on item SP3, is there a motion? Now on item SP13, Councilmember Rogers continues to be right about stuff. Is there a motion?
I will move item SB 13, Resolution 116-R25, a resolution protecting the right to protest and facilitating safe and peaceful assembly.
I'll second.
Councilmember Newsom moves adoption of Resolution 116-R-25. Councilmember Kelly seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Resolution 116-R-25 is adopted. Now on item SP14, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I will move item SB 14, Resolution 117-R25, a condemnation of practices by federal immigration enforcement agents that endanger children, urging resident reporting of immigration enforcement misconduct, and a call for federal and state action regarding federal misconduct.
Second.
Councilmember Newsom moves adoption of Resolution 117-R-25. Councilmember Kelly seconds. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
With 8 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Resolution 117-R-25 is adopted. This brings us back to the consent agenda. A refresher, the 5 items that have not yet been addressed on the consent agenda are items A2, A13, A20, HCDC3, and HCDC4. Councilmember Suffredin, I'm guessing you do not want to make a motion on item A2. Does someone else want to make that motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd move item A2, approval of the BMO Harris Amazon credit card activity.
Second.
Councilmember Rogers moves approval of BMO Harris Amazon credit card activity. Councilmember Harris seconds. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin.
Abstain.
Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor, none voting against, and 1 abstention, the motion carries and the activity is approved. Now on item A13, Councilmember Suffredin, do you have a motion?
Yes, I move approval of item A13, which was amended in committee. The approval of Sullivan Smoke Restaurant year-round sidewalk cafe layout with permanent fixtures.
Second.
Councilmember Suffredin moves approval of this year-round sidewalk, which was amended in committee. Councilmember Nusma seconds. Is there any discussion?
I'm sorry.
Councilmember Rogers.
Sorry. Was this changed in committee?
So, in committee, and correct me if I'm wrong, Council Ruggie, the vote was to approve the layout and not the funding. Is that accurate? Yes. So the approval does not have any funding tied to it. It's just an approval of the layout.
All right, thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers?
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly? Not in the room. Councilmember Isles?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma?
Aye.
Councilmember Burns?
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries and the layout is approved without the funding out of the 5/5 TIF that was removed in committee. And finally, Councilmember Suffredin, do you have a motion on item A20?
Yeah, sure. Item A20 came out of Administration of Public Works with a neutral recommendation. I move item A20, Resolution 68R25, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Family Focus for its move from 2010 Dewey Avenue to 1601 to 07 Simpson Street and a disposition plan for 2010 Dewey Avenue.
Second.
Councilmember Suffredin moves adoption of Resolution 68-R-25. Councilmember Nusma seconds. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Burns.
Yeah, just to give some background on this, the funding, the $3 million. So last term, the city approved $3 million for Family Focus to help figure out what to do with the building, really to renovate the building, to bring it back to its most productive use. That funding was approved last term, $3 million. Since then, Family Focus has decided that it would be best for them to relocate to a smaller space across the street. They made an attempt to try to raise the funds necessary to renovate the space. That was not successful. There's been other attempts by community organizations such as FCOP to do the same thing that were unsuccessful. And so instead of this being Harley Clark Mansion Part 2, I think the idea is that let's take what we learned from Harley Clark, which was we did a request. We started off where there are a lot of different iterations of that, but most recently there was a request of interest to gain an understanding of how people might want to use the space, and then after that there was another process to select one specific developer. And so I've asked for the city to have more involvement because I want to make sure that as we heard in the community, this is an important, not just a landmark as kind of a physical space, but it's a building that has served the community for a long time. It's more importantly held organizations that have served the community for a long time. And in a perfect world, I would like to see those organizations return to the building. I've talked to Joanne about this, and I think the best way to try to make that happen is for the city to be involved in the request for interest and to encourage people to apply that are interested in proposing things that I think respect the legacy of the building as one that has served the community and in all the various needs that it has had. We obviously want to allow for flexibility so that we can hear from all different types of proposals. Maybe some come in as a mix of residential and social service, which I personally think would fit well there. But it's possible that somebody else may say, I want to build a workforce development center, and the way the scope is written will allow for that. So again, this is an effort to make sure that there is a process a professional process where we can receive proposals from various developers, most importantly, people that have experience financing, getting large scale projects like this financed. And I'll probably have a couple motions that I'm still trying to tighten up. But so going back to the $3 million, and so when Family Focus determined that it was best for them to relocate into a smaller facility, they are still in the 5th Ward, by the way. They're at 1607 Simpson, I believe, and 1601 Simpson. So they're right across the street, still in the 5th Ward, still operating in the ward, serving the community every day. But once that determination was made, then the funding that was approved for them in order to kind of give us more time was to determine how to use the funds, was transferred to the water fund. And then the city had already communicated to the federal government, who provided the ARPA funds, that if we had any excess ARPA money, that would go to the water fund for waterfront projects. So that was done, which is how we fulfilled all the federal financial obligations. And then the ARPA money that was in the water fund was used for waterfront projects, leaving available money in the water fund to continue to support Family Focus within the same budget that we had already approved for them. So there's no additional funding that's needed. We approved $3 million. There was some was used. Some of that funding was used. And the money is remaining is the only thing that's a portion of the money remaining is the only thing that we're suggesting using to continue to support Family Focus, not only in moving to the new space, but also this process that I just described. And that's all, Chair. Thank you.
Councilmember Rogers.
Thank you. I just have a couple of questions here, and I spoke with Councilmember Burns Friday, I think, on this. But since then, I've had a couple questions come up basically just today, so I apologize for not getting those to you earlier. So one was, and I don't know who to direct this to, was that this money, ARPA money, was moved to the water fund. Are we now moving money from the water fund, out of the water fund, back to this purpose?
The funding, the ARPA that is swapped, was specifically put into the water fund with the acknowledgement that what of it would be used to support Family Focus would be determined. And at the time, we didn't have any idea really of what else might be, how much that might be, or what would happen to the rest of the funding. But the rest of the funding, if Family Focus is supported, this would be, the use would be defined by the City Council.
So to go back to my question, so money is coming from the water fund, moved back over.
It would be, yes, because
to
it's,
address
yeah.
this. And since you're here, I was catching part of the conversation in APW, but as you know, the council library can be kind of loud at times. Is there any sort of a repayment of this money? Like if the building were to be sold, would we, I think I caught that, but I wanted to make sure that I understood that correctly.
Yes, yes. We would be repaid, at least on some basis. We have to look to see what the sale price would be. And, so would it be 100%? Really don't know, but the intent is to, in the agreement, it said we would come to an agreement on what the reimbursement would be. We also separately in the memo said that the cost of the staff time for the REI would be tracked and could be reimbursed at that time, subject to net proceeds.
And is there a time limit? I know I keep hearing 3 years. Is that a definite, like 3 years, then we decide if no action has occurred that we're selling the building, or that they're selling the building, I guess, or what's the plan at that point?
The whole plan is to get the building sold. So that is, but by an organization that will respect the historic nature of the property and maintain that in some way, shape, or form. So the 3 years is where we've agreed that would be the end point of work on this, but it may not take 3 years as well. Hopefully it won't.
3 years knowing the city and how long it takes us to get rid of properties.
Well, but remember, we are doing the REI, and depending on what comes from that, Family Focus, being a private entity, can negotiate much more quickly if they choose to do that with whatever organization presents a winning proposal.
Okay, thank you.
Would the clerk please take the roll?
Oh, sorry, I was pressing send on the amendments that I'd like to make to this. Sorry.
Councilmember Burns, would you like to make an amendment?
I would, thank you. I sent over two just simple amendments, and staff can figure out exactly where it can go, but there's one, and I thought there was language in here like this before, but I couldn't find it. But it just says the city and Family Focus strongly encourage, so we put this somewhere in the scope, strongly encourage proposals that preserve the building's legacy as a community anchor, whether in whole or in part, by incorporating spaces where residents can learn, grow, access resources, and receive support. That's the first one. And then the second one is Fifth Ward residents will have a defined role, which we can define that at a later point, but defined role in the review of proposals to ensure community priorities are reflected in the selection process. I know with the skate park, for example, we had skaters that participated in that review panel, and I would like some community involvement in the review of the requests for interest. And that's all. Thank you, Chair. And can I move both at the same time? Okay. All right.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Burns moves to add the following two components to Resolution 68-R-25. Number one, the City and Family Focus strongly encourage redevelopment proposals that preserve the building's legacy as a community anchor, whether in whole or in part, by incorporating spaces where residents can learn, grow, access resources, and receive support. And Fifth Ward residents will have a defined role in the review of proposals to ensure community priorities are reflected in the selection process. Councilmember Davis seconds. Councilmember Rogers.
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to have a little clarification on Amendment 2. Yeah. Because to me that seems like something, I guess if we're doing something above and beyond the normal process of land use, which we typically, the people who live nearest weigh in on it, exactly how do you envision it being above and beyond that, I guess, is kind of a question.
This is so when a request for interest goes out, RFP, there's usually a panel, especially with RFP, there's a panel, staff panel that reviews the proposals, scores them, and then makes recommendations to council. I just want to, and we did that the same thing for the skate park. I can't remember, I think that was an RFP where we literally had skaters that kind of voted or helped to work alongside city staff to score the proposals. I would like that same opportunity for Fifth Ward residents, to some extent, and staff has experience, as they did with the skate park, working on things like that. So I would leave it to them to decide how best to implement it, but I would like some participation.
I would just like to point out
just a little traffic direction. So Councilmember Rogers still has the floor. Do you want Director Flax?
I was going to say I'll let Director Flax respond to that.
Great.
Because it may answer a follow-up question.
I would just like to make sure that Family Focus, this is an agreement with Family Focus, and we had discussed the city advising Family Focus, and we hadn't specifically recommended in what we've provided to them so far this particular community engagement, although we did talk about all the community engagement that had been done before being included in the REI. So I would like to make sure that Family Focus has some say, or at least can respond to this before we vote on it, which otherwise could be a difficult situation.
Yeah, and I see Dottie is here too. Dottie, if you want to, and it would be fine even for Family Focus to, work within their community groups to identify people. There was an auxiliary board, for example, for a long time at Family Focus. Maybe we pull from that group.
And just continue. So Councilman Rogers, you still have the floor.
So the floor, I'll let her respond because I have a follow-up question potentially, but it may be answered by someone who is responding to this.
So we have done, first of all, thank you all for entertaining us here tonight and considering this proposal for Family Focus. as it's been pointed out, Family Focus has done quite a bit of community engagement activity already over the past 3 years while we've been trying to come up with a plan to renovate this building. We would, of course, consider the community residents' thoughts and concerns about this, as well as what the city is going to bring before us. But ultimately, we have to see what comes before us. I can't say where this decision, how it's going to be made until we know if we're going to get viable opportunities to sell the building that would meet all the things that we want to do for the community and the Fifth Ward in particular. But we certainly will do our best to accommodate that within reason.
All right, thank you.
I don't want to drag it out more than the 3 years that we are asking for right now. If you know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess a follow-up question to Councilmember Burns then is, if the vision is to create sort of a panel to advise, which is what I'm understanding the second amendment is kind of gearing towards, I think that would be a cleaner amendment to do that, because right now the amendment I don't think really does much, as opposed to an action of, like, if you're anticipating it having an advisory scoring committee from the neighborhood, that be done as part of the process. So it's a cleaner than just having a defined role, which isn't really defined yet.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to do quickly is again, in this proposal, staff is at least in part responsible alongside Family Focus for evaluating, maybe it's not, I would imagine there's going to be some scoring, but certainly evaluating the proposals. All I'm saying is that as part of that evaluation, as we've done many times before, that the community have some participation and allowing time for Family Focus in the city to work out what that looks like. I can make a change to the language that does that, but this isn't something that was discussed beforehand. The first one is that should have been in there, was in there, at least a version of it. The second part is something that I would like to see. It's not something that's been discussed, but I want to leave it flexible enough to where Family Focus again in the city can come together on it. So I can revise the language if given some time to do that to something I think maybe that Family Focus may be agreeable to. Does that, just in concept, does that sound okay? Just some participation in helping to evaluate those proposals once they're received? Obviously, final decision is going to come down to Family Focus as final decision comes down to this body during those RFP processes, but it's just community voices to help evaluate those proposals to give you feedback. Yeah, okay.
So just to be clear, Councilmember Rogers still has the floor.
And Councilmember Rogers is finally yielding the floor.
Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm on board with the intent of both of these amendments. They make sense to me. The concepts are valid. What I'm uncomfortable with is kind of negotiating on the floor language that should be very clearly written down somewhere, either in the ordinance itself or the attachment, which is the draft kind of document. So I'm going to suggest not moving forward with this tonight, but offering Councilmember Burns the assurance that we do intend to move forward, but let's take a step back, incorporate these concepts in using the appropriate language in the appropriate section of the document, and then bring this back to us at our next meeting.
Is that a motion to hold?
So that's a motion to hold.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Nusma moves to hold this item. Councilmember Rogers seconds. A motion to hold is not debatable and does not require a vote. Is there a motion to overturn the hold? Seeing none, this will appear on the December 8th City Council agenda, and I trust that the various parties can reach a simple agreement on this item in time for that meeting. This then brings forth the next item on the agenda. HCDC 3 and 4 are what's left. Councilmember Rogers had requested that we handle HCDC 4 before HCDC 3. Councilmember Burns, do you have a motion? HCDC 3 and 4. I think Councilmember Rogers was hoping we could do 4 before 3.
Yes.
You said 4?
Correct.
So I move Ordinance 73025 to amend Title 5, Chapter 9 of the City Code, vacation rentals.
I'll second.
Councilmember Burns moves introduction of Ordinance 73-0-25. Councilmember Rogers seconds. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to table this item until our meeting on January 12th, which I think is the first meeting in January.
Councilmember Rogers moves to table this item to the first regular City Council meeting of 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilmember Suffredin seconds. The mayor uncharacteristically remembers that motions to table are not debatable. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Aye. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Kelly is not in the room. Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Ordinance 73-0-25 is tabled to the first regular City Council meeting of January 2026. Now on item HCDC 3, Councilmember Burns, do you have a motion?
I move resolution 115 R25 authorizing a moratorium on the issuance of new vacation rental licenses until March 9th, 2026.
I'll second.
Councilmember Burns moves adoption of Resolution 115-R-25. Councilmember Rogers seconds. Councilmember Rogers.
Just for a point of clarification, this was an issue that arose before where it says non-owner occupied, but this is for all. I believe the resolution language has been cleaned up, but I want to make sure that everybody here is aware of what we're voting on, as well as the public understanding that we are voting on all vacation rentals, not just the non-owner occupied ones.
Thank you for that clarification. Would the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Aye. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Nusma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
Aye.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries, and Resolution 115-R-25 is adopted. And now, bankrupting various odds makers in Las Vegas, we come to call of the wards. Councilmember Suffredin.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Councilmember Davis.
Nothing to report.
Councilmember Rogers.
Nothing.
Councilmember Harris.
No report.
Councilmember Isles.
Next office hours are first Thursday of the month, which I think is the 4th, 7:30 to 9:30 at Brothers K.
Councilmember Nusma.
The December 4th Ward meeting will be Tuesday, December 2nd, 7 p.m. at Robert Crown. And December office hours will be Saturday, the 13th from 10 a.m. to noon at the Evanston Maid Holiday Market, which is actually in the 2nd Ward. Hopefully Councilmember Harris won't mind a 4th Ward meeting in the 2nd Ward, but that's at 1710 Maple Street. So hope to see you at both of those gatherings, and meanwhile, happy Thanksgiving.
Councilmember Burns.
No report.
Councilmember Nusma is recognized to make a motion.
Pursuant to 5 Illinois compiled statutes 120/2, I move that the City Council convene into executive session to discuss agenda items regarding real estate and
Alex, what's this real estate and where do you go for the second item? C23 utilities.
And utilities. Okay, these agenda items are permitted subjects to be considered in executive session and are enumerated exceptions under the Open Meetings Act as set forth in 5 ILCS 120/2, sections, what do we say, litigation is C11 and utilities is C23? Real estate, which is C5. Sorry, this snuck up on me a lot quicker than I was expecting.
Second.
Councilmember Newsman moves that the City Council resolve itself into executive session to discuss items related to litigation and real estate. Is that correct? Councilmember. Litigation, real estate.
No, real estate.
Just real estate and utilities. Okay. Councilmember Newsman moves the City Council resolve itself into executive session to discuss matters related to real estate and utilities. Councilmember Harris seconds. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Councilmember Suffredin. Councilmember Davis.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Harris.
Aye.
Councilmember Isles.
Aye.
Councilmember Newsma.
Aye.
Councilmember Burns.
With 7 voting in favor and none voting against, the motion carries. And at 7:05 p.m., the City Council resolves itself into executive session to begin immediately in the Council Library.